Hi everyone, this is Kumar Data Train with Agile Meridian. We're here to talk about the leadership as a service pattern from xScale Alliance. And by way of introduction, I've been with xScale now for I think about 3 or 4 years. I'm one of their stewards in North America, and I really believe in the patterns and practices from the xScale Alliance that really help organizations achieve agility, which is this is one of the patterns that allow for that to happen. Right. So my friends at the xScale Alliance asked me if I would do a brief testimonial about leadership as a service, and I'm happy to do that because it's one of those patterns that I really believe in and very passionately believe in it and believe in the power that it has to really sort of change the culture of an organization. So the first question from my friends at the xScale Alliance is, what sorts of clients have you used leadership as a service? And, great question. And I think the answer is, it doesn't matter. Any kind of client can benefit from it. The key is not so much what kind of client they are, it's how ready they are to move from management to leadership. And the distinction, of course, being management is the need to control and dictate how things work, and leadership is, while those things are important, is the mindset that I'm going to support, teach, empower, enable my people to do their best work. And so leadership as a service, the pattern really actualizes the latter from the former, actualizes leadership because it allows people to lead by supporting individuals to do their best work. What were the circumstances with your client that gave rise to you introducing leadership as a service? So I'm not a coach that goes in, rah, 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 you got to do this because it's going to make you 100% better. No, it's not me. I'm more of a pragmatist, and at Agile Meridian, we go in as pragmatists, and we look to see where an organization is and build relationships and figure out how best to serve them, to help them improve or transform or change some aspect of their business. And so it's with that focus that we introduced leadership as a service. It's more based on what the client is asking. Hey, Kumar, can you help us because we have low morale, low engagement? Hey, Kumar, can you help us because we're not getting the kind of results that we need to survive in the marketplace? Hey, Kumar, can you help us? I feel like I'm stuck, I'm stagnant as a leader, and I'm not sure how to motivate my team. So it's with that background and that kind of context that we introduce a pattern like leadership as a service. And it's not a prescriptive way to do it. It's more of, hey, let's try some other approaches to enable and empower your people. And the next question is, did you experience any resistance? And sure, if any pattern or any practice that you introduce, if you introduce in a way that imposes a prescription, there's going to be resistance. Leadership as a service is no exception. So it's really not so much the pattern; it's the way that it is introduced. And I would say that there's a healthy skepticism for this or any other pattern, right? Because lots of organizations that are looking to change, middle management, which most of us are working with, they weren't the ones making decisions to bring coaches in. It was senior leadership. And so when coaches do come in, they're like, yeah, okay, what's the latest buzzword? Leadership as a service? Okay, whatever. And that's where the relationship building is so important and critical. And so the resistance is more to change rather than to leadership as a service. And so if, as coaches, you're using or you're going to take this course, think about how you introduce change as opposed to how you introduce leadership as a service. And so, once you build the relationship and the rapport and you introduce a pattern like leadership as a service, then for people that are really truly pulling on you for help because they want to improve something, then the resistance just sort of melts away, right? I mean, there may be some healthy skepticism, but not resistance. They're willing to try. The next question here is, what were the benefits you expected to reap? So I think it's twofold, actually multifold. Leadership as a service, to me, is one of those things that allow for a virtuous cycle of improvement. And it doesn't just benefit the leader that you're proposing this to. It benefits the team. It benefits the team if they're also leaders. And everyone, to me, is a leader at whatever level they are. They're leading maybe other people. They're leading maybe their work, whatever it is. It benefits those people because they are seeing a pattern of behavior being modeled for them that they can use themselves, right? And so the virtuous cycle is the feedback loop that comes, that reinforces the goodness that comes out of leadership as a service, because leaders aren't having to make all the decisions. They are relying on their team and members of their team to make decisions on specific things that they have the most expertise or they're closest to. And so it builds that virtuous cycle and can really permeate throughout an organization and change the climate first in a department, for instance, and then eventually the culture overall once the habit sort of sinks in and takes root. What actually happened? This is a good story, because what actually happened was, as I mentioned, lots of healthy skepticism along the way. But once things click, it's like this light bulb is turned on, not just with one, but with all, right, when it clicks. And it was funny because it was 6 months into my engagement with a department, and the VP of the department, I was invited into their management meetings every week, however often they had them. And they had instituted leadership as a service about, a couple months into the engagement. And so this was 6 months into the engagement, 4 months into trying this new pattern. They were sort of going through the process, the steps, and if you will, they were doing the steps rather than really embracing the outcomes or the potential outcomes. So 6 months in, they had a particularly contentious debate about something. They weren't getting to consensus as a group on a decision that they needed to make. And the VP, he says, well, this is, and he stopped. He stopped with this is. He was going to say this is what we should do, right? But instead what he said was, and before he said it, he kind of looked over at me and he had this little smile on his face and he said, I'm not going to say that. Tom, what should we do? Because Tom was closest to the decision. He was closest to making maybe not the right decision, but a decision. And so Tom made the decision, and off they went. But that one moment, right, that light bulb moment, it wasn't just a light bulb moment for the VP, it was a light bulb moment for the team because they saw it in action. And after that, it became easier to embrace the mindset behind leadership as a service, right, and then permeate it through their team. And then eventually it started to affect, the people that they led. A couple of levels down. After all, this is all a fractal. Leaders lead other people who lead other people, and so on. So, and a final question in the list of questions: are they still using it? As far as I know, they are. It's been a while since I've spoken to them. Some leaders have moved on and retired, changed, whatever. But as far as I know, they are. And the reason I feel confident in saying that is because it's not a framework, it's a pattern, it's a habit. And once you establish a habit, then it's hard to break the habit, but it takes time to establish it. It takes time to break old habits and adopt new habits. And so what you will learn in the masterclass, of course, is the pattern, and then it's up to you to sort of implement that into your team, into your culture, into your organization, so that it becomes the new habit. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.